Texans Today. How are we feeling, ladies and gentlemen? We've got a great live show on tap for you today. I got my boy, producer Lopez, on the ones and the twos, and we've got 3 segments loaded up for y'all today. We're talking NFL draft. We're talking the latest Texans news. And, of course, we got one of our award-winning Texans mailbags at the end of today's show, where I will be answering all of your questions, your thoughts, your concerns around the Houston Texans, the NFL, and everything in between. So, as always, we got to get a roll call. Represent. Let me know, where are you watching from? We are in the Chat Sports headquarters located in downtown Dallas, and we are ready to get this thing rocking and a-rolling. So I hope everybody is having a fantastic Wednesday, a little hump day. And let's get this thing ready to rock. We got Louisiana from Bayou Raider in the building. Lopez from Louisiana. H-Town from Just Harry. We got Anointed Stan saying H-Town. Mr. Tommy's going from Conroe. We got South Tejas, the 956 is checking in. Steven Richter checking in from Brenham, Texas. Colorado, Denver from Jose Sandoval. H-Town, stand up in the building. Hiram Clark, Texas as well. We got a bunch of people from H-Town. Let's go Texans. 12 is in the building. We got Eric Garza checking in from the RGV down there. We got Sugarland, Texas from Roger in Colorado for work. But you know I'm from that 713 from Brian Sutton. H-Town checking in from Alejandro. Blacklight is from Houston. Where else we from? Tom Ball from Kathy Williams. Long Island, New York from Jack Gustafson. Arkansas from Pick 6. Who else we got in this building? Who else we got in the building? Let's go. Let me know, where are you watching from? We got Gene from Quebec, Canada. Bonjour. Yoda Jenkins checking in from the 808. How we doing? Brandon Hollum. Well, Falcons could have traded up to 28 for a right tackle for a whole 5 minutes, I guess. I don't think that they only have a couple picks, though. That's the problem, Brandon. I think that's why they had to go out and sign somebody, is because the Falcons, I think they only have 5 or 6 draft picks in the this year's draft. So them trading up really wasn't a possibility. Who else we have? We got Santa Fe Pearland from Jonathan. Smithville, Texas, baby, from Andres. Let me know where you're watching from. Brandon Hollum, Falcons first next year for 28. I mean, maybe they could have done that. I think it would have taken more than just next year's first, but we'll see. Jeremy Cooper checking in from the 713. Baytown from Eric Barnes. Appreciate all y'all for checking in on today's program. As I mentioned, we got a great show on tap for you today. We had some news earlier around the Houston Texans and some contract situations that could come about this offseason. We had some more draft visits for your Houston Texans. And for everybody who loves the NFL draft, today is a very special day because the Athletic's Dane Brugler dropped his annual all-comprehensive breakdown of the beast. And I'm going to discuss 3 players who the Texans have met with that Dane Brugler has first-round grades on. So essentially, these would be the Texans' first-round draft targets per Dane Brugler. We'll see if any of those guys end up going to the Houston Texans at pick 28 or if they end up trading back. Jonathan Hyatt, Swarm Patrol t-shirt was badass. Thanks. Hey, appreciate you. Appreciate everybody who's gotten all of our merch. We have some awesome stuff on sale. Make sure to go check it out at chatsports.com/HOU shop. The more shirts we sell, the more I'll be able to, create more ideas, make more merch here for y'all. And I've had some pretty cool ideas be, DM'd to me. So possibly, maybe one of your ideas we can make into a shirt here at Texans Today. And I promise you, if I make a shirt that one of y'all send me the idea, I'll go ahead and send you that shirt for free. If I end up making a shirt that one of y'all explicitly send me that idea, I'll go ahead and send you one of those shirts. Jared White says, always checking in from Lufkin. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Blacklight. What did you say? Is it true that we picked up the 5th-year options for CJ7 and Will Anderson Jr.? That's actually in the first segment that we're discussing today. That is the first segment that we are discussing today. I do have another quick question for all the ladies and gentlemen out there. Are you a Rockets fan? Let me know. Yes or no, are you a fan of the Houston Rockets? I want to know. Behad says, Mo City checking in. Let's go.
If you are a fan of the Rockets, we might have something for you. Just saying. We
We
might have something for you.
Because funny enough, I don't know if you know, but I just started a Rockets channel here at Chat Sports, the 9th NBA channel here at Chat Sports. If you haven't already, go check it out. I'm going to put the sublink to our Rockets channel in the chat. I already have a bunch of videos. I dropped a video already today on our Rockets channel. Go ahead, go over there and support if you haven't already. If you're a Rockets fan, I just started a brand new Rockets channel here at Chat Sports. I'm very proud of it. Yoda Jenkins says he's a fan of the Red Rockets.
I don't know if I'm a fan of the Red Rockets.
The Rockets do wear red, so.
You might be onto something. Texan Spurs fan.
I do know there is some crossover with some Texans fans and Spurs fans. There's a lot of Texans fans in San Antonio. I get it. If you haven't already, though, make sure to hit that sub button. I'm actually doing a watch party on Friday. I'm going live for Rockets T-Wolves. So if you're a Rockets fan as well, go check out the channel. Hi, Eagle. I do not cover. I might do some Astros watch parties here on this channel. We don't have a dedicated Astros channel as of right now. We just started our Rockets channel. We're not to 1,000 subscribers yet, but if the Rockets channel starts doing well, if the Texans channel keeps on doing well, I don't see a reason why we can't maybe get some Astros in the mix as well.
You just become our Houston sports guy here at Chat Sports. We got Marsh doing New York athletics. You do Houston.
H-Town. What it
down.
do? What it do, baby? It's the Iceman Paul Wall. Here we go. So, yeah, if you haven't already, if you are a Rockets fan, I'll put the link in there one more time. Go check out our brand new Rockets channel. I'm putting out content on that bad boy as well. Here are the deals on today's show. If
Pretty good ones.
you super chat, you get up on screen. As simple as that. If you buy a shirt, I'm going to put you on our Texans Hall of Fame helmet. We almost got this bad boy filled out. I decided I'm going to give this away during the draft. I'm going to give this away during the draft. I think that's a good time to go ahead and do the giveaway for our Texans Hall of Fame helmet. I already sent one away to, if you're watching this, shout out to Bennett Kuchka out there. It's a Texans Today legend, Bennett Kuchka. But I'm going to be giving away this Texans Hall of Fame helmet once the draft comes around. But if you want to get a helmet sticker, the way you're going to do that is if you buy one of our Texans Today t-shirts over on our merch website. So if you want to go ahead and get a helmet sticker, get a chance to not only rock a dope shirt, but also win our H-Town helmet. If you buy a shirt today, which I can see everybody who buys shirts. So I actually saw Austin bought one earlier.
Shout out to Austin.
So I can go ahead and give you a helmet sticker. And then I also saw somebody else bought one earlier. Juanita. So Austin and Juanita, shout out to y'all. I'm going to put y'all in our Texans Hall of Fame helmet. Jared says, I love the shirt. Hell yeah. Appreciate you, Jared. I believe I already got Jared White on here. But if you buy a shirt, I can see it. We can actually cycle through the shirts if y'all want to see the different ones that we have available.
We got some good ones.
And as always, if we get $100 in Super Chats, I wear the helmet during our mailbag. We have our new show logo. You can get this in a navy blue. You can get it in the black. We also have it in the H-Town blue. So if you want to rock our brand new show logo, you can do that. We have our Swarm Patrol t-shirts that have been selling out. They've been awesome. I appreciate all y'all for supporting. We have that. This is our only Comfort Colors t-shirts, which personally, that's my favorite. I'm trying to convince the bosses to do some more Comfort Colors if we can. If y'all like the Comfort Colors, let me know. Maybe I can convince my boss to make some more. We have that in the black. We have it in the navy. And then also, we have our brand new Will Anderson Jr. Terminator t-shirts. These have been the overwhelming favorites so far. This is in the black. You can also get it in the navy. So if you want to get any of those shirts, my boy Lopez just put it in the chat for you. It's chatsports.com/HOU shop. If you want to get any of that stuff on today's program, I appreciate y'all for rocking and rolling. All right, I think we're about ready to get going with our first segment on today's program. Quick reminder, if you want to get in on our mailbag later on in today's show, 2 ways to do so. Super simple. All you got to do, #Texans or Super Chat to get on the program. If you want to get on, easy. Just #Texans, whatever your comment is. And later on in the program, we will answer all the questions that we possibly can in a mailbag edition here of Texans Today. Or if you Super Chat, you can ensure that your question 100% gets on the show, and we can make sure to answer that for you. Now, we got 60 people watching right now. Can we get to 35 likes? Once we get to 35 likes, we're going to start our first segment here. It's super simple. I know not everybody can Super Chat. Not everybody can buy the T-shirts, do this, that, or whatever. An easy way to help out the show, like and share the video. If you like the video, if you share the video, that helps me. That helps producer Lopez out a ton. Tommy! I see you, Tommy.
There we go. Tommy, what'd he buy?
He
What
bought
shirt did he get?
the Swarm Patrol T-shirt.
Ooh.
So, Tommy, since you got the Swarm Patrol one, I'm actually going to give you 2 helmet stickers for that one. Shout out to Tommy if you're watching. Absolute legend. Appreciate you for going out and getting one of our merch items. I really do appreciate everybody who has gone out and gotten our merch. I really, makes me feel good about myself because, Texans, it's not as big as some of the other channels. It's not as big as, our Raiders channel, our Cowboys, Eagles and stuff. But I'll say this, Texans fans, y'all have absolutely been showing out. Mr. Tommy, appreciate you, my guy. Y'all have really been showing out. Y'all have been helping me, making me look really good to my bosses. So for that, I really do appreciate all of y'all. And I always say, the most valuable thing you have is your time. So the fact that you're spending some of that time here on Texans Today, that means the world to me. It means the world to producer Lopez. And I appreciate everybody for stopping in. Whether it's 5-10 minutes, if it's the whole show, that means a lot to me because y'all tuning in, y'all doing this, that allows me to do what I love to do, and that is cover the Houston Texans and now the Houston Rockets. So without further ado, we did get to 43 likes. So if you're ready to get the show going, let me see those H's flowing down in the comments section. We're going to go ahead and get started with our very first segment on today's show, which is the latest news and rumors around this Texans squad. I already saw somebody in the chat earlier talk about, hey, did the Texans pick up the 5th-year option on Stroud and Will Anderson? Well, we're about to discuss that here on Texans Today. Looks like you got the cold open ready to go. All right. Get those H's flowing, and let's get started with the very first segment here on Texans Today. We are getting dangerously close to our goal. I've said for the past couple months, I want to get to 50,000 subscribers by the time the NFL draft starts. We are 817 away, only a couple weeks until the NFL draft. So if you haven't already, go down, hit that subscribe button for free Texans content all year long. We'll be giving you exclusive draft coverage. We go live for every single game here at Texans Today. So if you love the Houston Texans and want to be part of the #1 Texans community here on YouTube, make sure to go down and hit that subscribe button. Coming up here on Texans Today, we've got some news around C.J. Stroud, Will Anderson Jr., and their contract situations. We have even more top 30 visits coming in for your Houston Texans and some very interesting odds at the very end of the show that I think a lot of y'all will want to see. I've already talked about these odds before. Not these odds, but I've already talked about this story before, but very interesting to see some of what Vegas thinks about the Houston Texans. We'll discuss that at the end of today's program. All right, let's talk about the first topic on today's show, and that is C.J. Stroud and Will Anderson Jr. This coming in from Field Yates. The Texans have exercised the 2027 5th-year options on contracts of QB C.J. Stroud and All-Pro defensive end Will Anderson Jr. per source. Stroud is now due $25.904 million in 2027, while Anderson is due $21.512 million. Both players are also eligible for extensions. Now, I think, a lot of people thought about C.J. Stroud. I've talked about C.J. Stroud, that the Texans were more than likely going to exercise that fifth-year option. But I had a lot of people message me on Twitter. I had a lot of people comment and say, Jeremy, why are the Texans, giving the fifth-year option to Will Anderson Jr.? Does that mean they're not going to extend him? Does that mean the same as Stroud, that he has to wait until next offseason? No. That's not going to be the case. For me, this isn't really a surprise at all. The Texans are still likely to extend Will Anderson Jr. At the very end of Field Yates' tweet, he even said that, right? He said both of these guys are still eligible for extensions. All this does is tax on an extra year onto their rookie deal. They can still get extended. So you can add on however much you want on a new contract extension to the end of that fifth-year option. But it does help out the Texans if they do want to, give Will Anderson Jr. the bag, which I think they're going to give him the bag. Basically, this allows you to kind of stretch out that money a little bit more and make it where it's not a, astronomical cap hit for the very beginning of that contract extension. C.J. Stroud, though, on the other hand, I've talked about it before. I don't think he gets extended this offseason. I actually think it's better for C.J. Stroud himself to not get extended this offseason because he's coming off a very bad run in the playoffs for the Houston Texans. So I think the fact that, he's getting the fifth-year option, he'll get a chance to prove himself. If he plays really well this year, he's going to get paid next offseason. There's a ton of quarterbacks that are going to get paid next offseason. I talked about that in a video prior. I'll go ahead and put that in the comment section and description of today's show. But C.J. Stroud, more than likely going to get paid next offseason. The fifth-year option, though, that doesn't mean that Will Anderson Jr. is not going to get a contract extension this offseason. And I think it might happen sooner rather than later. I would not be shocked if we saw a Will Anderson Jr. extension before the NFL draft. But I want you to predict it for me down below. Do you think Will Anderson is going to get extended before the NFL draft? We're weeks away from the draft. Reminder, we'll be bringing you comprehensive draft coverage here at Chat Sports around the Houston Texans, around every single team. Let me know what you think. Predict it. Do you think Will Anderson gets that extension before the NFL draft? Give me a yes, give me a no down below in the comment section. As I said, I wouldn't be surprised because there is, movement on both sides. Will Anderson said earlier this offseason he wants to be a Texan for life. The Houston Texans absolutely love Will Anderson Jr. You have not heard any bad things said about Will Anderson throughout really the past couple of years, right? Nick Caserio sings his praises. DeMeco Ryans absolutely loves him. Matt Burke, the defensive coordinator, says he's the best player in the league. So there's movement on both sides. Both sides want to get it done. I think it's just, coming down to the details of the contract. But when it's all said and done, I think for sure by the end of the offseason, he's going to get an extension. But like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if we see it in the coming weeks. Now, let's go on to the Texans' top 30 visits because we've actually already broken down a ton of them. These 9 players we've discussed on the channel so far. Jalon Kilgore, defensive back from South Carolina. Adam Randall, running back from Clemson. Caden Proctor, offensive lineman from Alabama. Kayden McDonald, defensive tackle from Ohio State. Keionte Scott, defensive back from Miami. Charles Demmings, defensive back from SFA. Emmanuel Pregnon, offensive lineman from Oregon. Christen Miller, defensive lineman from Georgia. And Tyler Onyedim, defensive lineman from Texas A&M. We've discussed all these players, but we have even more top 30 visits for your Houston Texans that we need to discuss here on today's program. First up, another defensive tackle. The Texans are not shying away from letting everybody know they are going to draft some defensive linemen in this year's NFL draft. Dominique Orange, maybe one of the better nicknames in this draft, the Big Citrus. He has a top 30 visit with your Houston Texans. Mammoth of a human being, 6'4", 325 pounds. And I know the numbers aren't, eye-popping for this season, but he is a block eater. He is somebody that is going to take on 2, 3 offensive linemen and just hold it down in the middle of that defensive line. He's not going to rack up tackles, right? This past year, 18 tackles. The year prior, 24 tackles. Even though he did have 4.5 tackles for loss in 2024. He's not somebody that is going to pressure the quarterback. He's not going to get you sacks. But he is somebody, like I said, that will be good in run stuffing, a good interior defensive lineman that could really help out this Texans team in terms of stuffing the run. They met with another defensive lineman, though, for a top 30 visit, And this guy is somebody who is very, very intriguing to me. It's Zion Young. He is a defensive end from Mizzou this past season. 38 tackles, 6.5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles. And he's somebody that has been getting a lot of round one buzz. And somebody that I think the Texans are pretty interested in, obviously, with that top 30 visit. Really having a breakout year in 2025, right? Before in 2024 and 2023 was a decent player. Previously played at Michigan State. In 2024 transferred to Mizzou, got 2.5 sacks, 5.5 tackles for loss. This year, though, he stepped his game up big time. 52 pressures, 6.5 sacks, 16.5 tackles for loss, 42 tackles. He was on a tear for Mizzou, and obviously you see by the C on his chest, was a captain this year for the Mizzou Tigers. So the Texans showing interest in defensive line and really not shying away from, tackling one of their needs in the NFL draft. And obviously, they made moves in free agency. They re-signed Sheldon Rankins. They re-signed Naquan Jones. They signed Logan Hall, the former U of H Cougar, who gives you inside-out flexibility, right? He can play defensive tackle, that 3 technique. He can also bump out to defensive end. But I think the one thing that I've noticed is that the Texans, they want to, have a dominant defensive line, right? And they want these guys to be fresh. They want to be able to rotate them in and out. Right now, I know they signed Robinson D-Rob this offseason to a 1-year contract in free agency, but I still think they're looking for that rotational pass rusher to really replace Derek Barnett. He was a good player for the Texans this past year. They decided to let him walk in free agency, and I think they're going to try to fill that gap in the NFL draft. Maybe it's a Zion Young. Maybe it's somebody later on in the draft, but that's definitely a position that the Texans are looking at. And I know it's a position that not a lot of people think is a big need for the Texans, defensive end 3. You think of, we have Will Anderson. We have Danielle Hunter. Why do we need another defensive end? Well, they want to keep those guys as fresh as possible. And believe it or not, Derek Barnett, other defensive ends on this team from this past season, they were able to rotate in and get pretty good pass rush whenever Will Anderson, whenever Danielle Hunter needed a breather to keep them at 100% throughout most of this past season. Now, coming up, I have more top 30 visits from the Houston Texans, plus some odds that I think a lot of y'all will find very, very interesting. Before I get into that, though, make sure to check out our merch shop. We have our brand new show logo. Shout out to my guy, Arnold. He absolutely cooked with this design. This is our new show logo here at Texans Today. You can get that in black, navy, or that H-Town blue. We also have 2 other dope t-shirts if you want to get our Swarm Patrol t-shirt. The best thing about this, all these guys are going to be on the team next year. And it's, I like jerseys, but you don't always want to wear jerseys out whenever you're going to the bar, whenever you're going to hang out with friends. This is a really comfortable t-shirt that looks really dope. And then our newest t-shirt is our Will Anderson Jr. Terminator t-shirt. We talked about him at the top of the show. He's getting that extension, so why not rep Will Anderson, rep H-Town with this awesome design? All of that is available at this link right here, chatsports.com/HOU shop. You can check that out. I'll put that in the comment section and description of today's program. Let me know if you want any other t-shirts, any other designs for future t-shirts here at Texans Today, because the more shirts y'all buy, the more shirts that I'll be able to make here for our merch shop. All right, let's talk about another top 30 visit for your Houston Texans. Kaelon Black, running back from Indiana, and luckily for all of y'all, my wife, she is an Indiana alum. I watched every single Hoosier game this past year because my wife is a massive fan. And Kaelon Black, he was part of a running back duo that was very impressive for the Hoosiers this past year. He's not, a massive guy, 5'10", 210 pounds, but I think he's a really smart runner. He was able to really get the most out of every run, really find the holes that the Indiana offensive line were able to create this past season, and really pick up, tough yardage to allow Fernando Mendoza to get into second and medium, third and medium situations this past year and eventually win the college football playoff. Kaelon Black, he projects as more of a late round pick, somewhere, 5th, 6th round, but the Texans, they added, David Montgomery in a trade this offseason. So you have him, you have Woody Marks. Running back isn't a top need anymore, but they definitely still want to add another running back in the draft. Maybe it's somebody like a Kaelon Black. They also had top 30 visits with a pair of tight ends. The first one, Joe Royer from Cincinnati this past year, 29 receptions, 416 yards, 4 touchdowns. He's a really good receiving threat. We'll talk about him and more of these guys whenever we do a more comprehensive video on the Beast and Dane Brugler. But Joe Royer, he's a mid-round option if you want a good wide receiver 2 receiving threat. He's somebody who maybe doesn't wow you with his athletic ability of, being able to run a fast 40 or a insane vertical, but he has really good ball skills. And as a tight end too, I think he could be really good in an offense. The Texans, they'd run a lot of 12 personnel, which means a lot of 2 tight end sets. So they could use possibly another tight end, especially if they don't really trust Cade Stover. The other top 30 visit, this one was a little bit more perplexing to me, was Miles Kitselman from Tennessee. We actually have a Tennessee Volunteers fan here. Goes by the name of Joey Peterson. He has his own channel for Tennessee. If you are a Tennessee football fan, I asked him about him. I said, hey, Texans have a top 30 visit with Miles Kitselman. What do I need to know? He said, brick hands. So, 25 receptions, 250 yards this past year for the Volunteers. Maybe not the receiving threat at tight end that you would want. And, the Texans, they already signed Foster Moreau, who is an excellent blocker. So I don't know if the Texans need to go ahead and draft a, block-only tight end. But that's basically what I got. The vibe I got from Joey Peterson was that he's a tight end 3. He's going to block. That's pretty much it. Maybe a special teams guy as well. His round grade, probably more of a 7th round to maybe even a UDFA signing. But Texans brought him in for a top 30 visit. Last up on this News and Rumors episode of Texans Today, some very interesting odds around defensive lineman Dexter Lawrence. We talked about him after the news came out that he was requesting a trade from the New York Giants, and I talked about him possibly being an option for the Houston Texans. Now, I saw some odds around his basically next team if he were to be traded. Look who the number 2 team is. The top odds right now, Los Angeles Chargers. Second best odds, your Houston Texans. I'm not saying that they will go ahead and trade for Dexter Lawrence, but I do find it interesting. Vegas, they do have a way of knowing certain things, and maybe they got some inside info, some inside intel, maybe a little Diana Rossini scoop around whether or not the Houston Texans were interested in Dexter Lawrence. Coming in third, tied is the Tennessee Titans and the Cincinnati Bengals. So very interesting odds. If you want to know more about my thoughts around Dexter Lawrence and a possible trade, I actually made a video. It's already on the channel. This is what the thumbnail looks like. You can go ahead and look at my full thoughts on a Dexter Lawrence trade for the Houston Texans. All right, that's all I have for you on today's show, folks. If you made it to the end of today's video, make sure to give me a follow on X. You can follow me at Jeremy Chuggs. My DMs are always open. And if you made it to the end, we're doing something right? So go ahead, hit that subscribe button for free Texans content all year long. If you're a real Texans fan, you'll go down and hit that sub button. It's 100% free, and you get Texans news and rumors videos all year long. All right, here we go. And we got a super chat from Jonathan Hyatt. Here we go. We'll go ahead and put that in the mailbag, but we can answer it here in just a moment. But I have some trivia for y'all because I was asked this Texans trivia question, and, maybe embarrassingly, I had some trouble with it. So I'm going to ask you the same question that I was asked. This is some Texans trivia. See who knows ball down in the comments section. Which 2 players from 2021 to 2024 had a catch in each of those seasons for the Houston Texans? Let me know. Only 2 players on the Texans had a catch in 2021, 2022, 2023, and 2024. What were those, or who were those 2 players? Let me know down below in the comment section if you know. One of them, I think, pretty easy that a lot of people will get. The other one, maybe a little bit more difficult. So let me know if you know ball. Go down in the comment section and give me your answers. Do you know which 2 players from the 2021, 2022, 23, 24 had a catch in each of those seasons? Anointed Stan knows ball.
When was Nico drafted?
21.
Okay, so then one of them asked me Nico.
Yep.
I don't know who number 2 would be.
That's where it stumped me. Lee Graves, good guess. You got one of them right. Nico is one of them. Hutch is not.
Trying to think. Something tells me it's like a tight end or something. I don't think it's another receiver. did Schultz get there? I feel like 21 is too early. I don't know. Ooh, that's a good guess, Anointed Stan. Is that it? Okay.
Yeah. That's it. It was Nico Collins and Brevin Jordan.
How long did it take you to get it? Or did you have to be told?
So I'm in a trivia league, and you only get a minute to answer.
Okay.
So I couldn't come up with it in a minute. Unfortunately. I know L on me. L's in the chat. I was thinking hard. I thought the same. I thought the same as who said it? Lee Graves. I was like, I think it's Nico, maybe Hutch. I was also thinking Jordan Akins, former tight end for the Houston Texans. Not it, though. Not it. So
Brevin Jordan.
Yeah.
Did you at least win the trivia game last night? Or whenever this was?
We lost because I got that question wrong.
That was the one?
Yeah.
Damn, that's tough.
Yeah. A little bit of salt in the wound there. A little bit of salt in the wound.
Sorry to ask that then.
Huh?
Sorry to ask that.
Yeah. Way to bring up a sore subject for me. We do have a super chat, though, from Jonathan Hyatt. Your honest opinion with the new O-line this year, do you see CJ as our future franchise quarterback, or do you think the last 2 seasons is the real CJ Stroud? The thing is, though, when you look at the past couple of years, in the regular season, it's not like he's been god-awful, right? Like, if he played good in the playoffs this year, I think the whole narrative around CJ Stroud would be completely different. And we might have the list for cat of CJ Stroud in there. It might be saved in there. But I think really why we talk down on CJ Stroud and why we're upset is because of his play in the playoffs. Like, he had a couple good playoff games his rookie season. Last year was okay, but this year in the playoffs, yeah, here we go. I mean, the stats in 6 games, 6 touchdowns to 6 interceptions, 60% completion percentage in the playoffs. I mean, that's the reason why Texans fans are upset, right? Like, if you just look at the 2025 stats, he missed 3 games because of a concussion, 64% completion percentage, over 3,000 yards, 19 touchdowns to 8 interceptions. Like, if we're being honest, he had a little bit of a sophomore slump, right? He went way up on his interceptions, down in touchdowns, not going to lie, right? He didn't have a, progression from his rookie year to his sophomore season. But this past year, it wasn't horrible, right? Like 64.5 completion percentage, 3,000 yards, 19 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, and 23 sacks. Like, I do believe in CJ Stroud to possibly put it together. And I think, he's somebody who I think everybody kind of jumped the gun. Like, he had a good rookie season. And, I mean, even CJ Stroud, right? Like, after his rookie year, he was on podcasts. He was traveling the world, hanging out with Micah Parsons, going to hang out with sumo wrestlers. Not saying that he can't live his life and do whatever he wants to do. But,
time to lock in now.
You got to lock in at some point. And he might, good news for this offseason. It does look like CJ is a little bit more locked in than he has been in past off seasons. And the biggest motivator of it all is money, right? Like, if he plays well this year, he's getting $60 million a year. So if I told you you have 1 year to prove why you deserve $60 million a year, I'd be pretty locked in.
I can figure it out.
Yeah, I'd be pretty locked in. So really, that's what it comes down to. He has this year to prove it. And I think, with the new O-line, he has good weapons. Jaden Higgins going into year 2, I think he's going to be a really good wide receiver too. You have Nico Collins, who's a wide receiver 1. You have Tank Dell, who hopefully can come back and be that wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 / slot option. And Jalen Knoll, who hopefully we can find a way to use him more in this offense. You have good weapons. You added a running back in David Montgomery. Woody Marks in year 2. I think he's a good running back. I think he's a little bit undervalued by the NFL and Texans fans. I really like what we saw out of Woody Marks last year. He doesn't really have a lot of excuses going into this year. So this is definitely a make or break year. I think he'll be able to get it done. Obviously, Texans fan, optimistic, looking at it glass half full. But I think if instead of throwing 4 interceptions, if the Texans lose that playoff game, CJ throws 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, the narrative is completely different. If the Texans lose on a last-second field goal to the Patriots and CJ Stroud plays well, everybody's saying, he had a really good 2025 season.
I'm not going to use the word concerning here, but you just said if CJ Stroud goes for 2 touchdowns, 2 picks in that game against the Patriots, everybody wouldn't be freaking out. The problem is they probably win that game if he does that. Like, that separates you from a divisional round knockout to a AFC Championship appearance.
And look, he didn't play well. He didn't play well. And I'm not gonna say, give him excuses, but I will say you do have to look at the picture as a whole. No Nico Collins, no Dalton Schultz, and they were without their starting right tackle in Trent Brown. So that's 3 major starters on the offense. Now, CJ had some horrible decision-making. It was sleeting. He, whenever it's snowing and bad weather, you can't, just play recklessly, which that's what I thought CJ was trying to play hero ball. He was trying to win the game, and then that kind of backfired because him trying to make the extra play, him trying to do more than what he should, ended up hurting the Texans. But, when you look at that game, there was I think there was 40 rushing yards by the Houston Texans in that game up against the Patriots.
It was an ugly game.
It was a bad.
It was bad.
It was a bad game overall by the entire offense, right? Like, not a good game plan by Nick Caserio. It's hard to have a good game plan when, your number 1 wide receiver, your starting tackle is out. I think the fact is, CJ didn't play well, but at the same time, he's the best option we have.
Yeah.
And not saying, we're stuck with him, because, that's why the Texans went ahead and did the 5th-year option. They went ahead and said, hey, we want to see 1 more year of you before we, give you the bag, which, like I said, I think that actually works out in CJ Stroud's favor. If he does believe in himself, if he does play like he did in his rookie season, he's going to make $60 million. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. Appreciate the super chat, Jonathan. Appreciate the super chat on that one. We do have another segment to get to. We're going to go ahead and get into Dane Brugler just dropped The Beast. And if you don't know what The Beast is, Dane Brugler, he works for The Athletic, and each year he drops a massive article around, I want to say it's like 280, 300 players in the NFL draft, and it's pretty comprehensive. It talks about their complete bio of, what high school did they go to? What did they play in high school? How they grew up? How they played in college? It has all their biggest strengths, their biggest weaknesses. So I think it's, something that if you are a massive draft fan, if you're a massive Texans fan, you should 100% check out. But in this next segment, I basically took the Texans' top 30 visits, and I'm looking at who out of the top 30 visits does Dane Brugler have a first-round grade on. So essentially, it's the Texans' first-round targets via Dane Brugler. Kind of to give you a kind of summation of what we're about to talk about here on the program. So I'm going to get into, there's only 3 players that the Texans have met with so far that have first-round grades by Dane Brugler. We're going to talk about him and talk about, should the Texans take one of these guys at 28, or do they do what they've done the past couple years? Let's trade out of round 1. No, they've actually done really well in the draft. We'll see. We'll see what they end up doing. Let me know if you're ready to go. And I think we can get rocking and rolling with this next segment here on Texans Today, talking about Dane Brugler's Beast and the Texans draft targets. Coming up here on Texans Today, some first-round draft targets for your Houston Texans. And you didn't already know, Dane Brugler just dropped The Beast, which is maybe the most comprehensive draft guide in the world. He talks about almost every single player you need to know about in the NFL draft. And basically in this video, I'm going to talk about some of those players that he broke down in his article. And the the Texans might have interest in some of those guys. I'll tell you what I mean about it here in just a moment. But are you ready to go? Are you excited for the draft this year? If so, hit that thumbs up icon, like the video. I am ready for the Texans to draft some playmakers, draft the missing pieces to this team to hopefully get over the hump and make the AFC Championship game. If you're ready to go, hit that thumbs up icon and like today's video. So, in this video, basically, the credentials to make this video, and I am filming this on April 8th, Wednesday, on our live show here on Texans Today. To make this video, really just two qualifications. You had to have a top 30 visit with the Houston Texans, and Dane Brugler had to give you a first/second round grade. So only 3 players meet that criteria. So essentially, Dane Brugler's eyes, these are the top 3 players that the Texans could take in round 1 of the NFL draft based on the latest news and rumors coming out of Houston. So the first player that we're going to talk about is Kadyn Proctor, offensive lineman from Alabama. The Texans brought him in for a top 30 visit, and Dane Brugler has him as his offensive tackle number 4. He ranks every single position group. Kadyn Proctor comes in as the 4th best offensive tackle in this draft class. The Texans, obviously, they were busy, getting in with the free agency, being able to sign players like a Braden Smith, like a Wyatt Teller, but that doesn't mean they're stopping at that for the NFL draft. They're still looking to add a couple more playmakers on that offensive line, and Kadyn Proctor might be somebody that the Texans could get at pick 28. This is what Dane Brugler had to say on Kadyn Proctor. With his physical traits, Proctor flashes dominance when he plays on time. He has the size and movement skills to engulf defenders when in rhythm as a pass blocker. However, he struggles to negotiate space and understand his leverage, which leads to erratic depth points and oversets. It is a similar story in the run game. Talent isn't the issue. He plays heavy-handed and creates good extension, but his body posture and cohesiveness are still developing. Overall, Proctor is big, strong, and explosive, which is an exciting foundation for an offensive lineman. But that optimism should be curbed until his discipline and technique catch up. He has starting caliber upside at left tackle, although some teams believe moving the guard would be the best for his pro career. So obviously, you heard what Dane Brugler had to say about Kadyn Proctor this past year. According to PFF, he had an 85.2 overall grade, 2 sacks allowed for the Crimson Tide, 4 hits, 19 pressures, and 2 penalties while playing that SEC schedule. And I think when you look at the Texans' offensive line and kind of what Brugler had to say about Kadyn Proctor, I think the fit is there, right? Like, he basically alluded to Proctor one day being a great offensive lineman, but needing some refining, needing some more technique. And I think he doesn't have to start year 1. The Texans, they already got Wyatt Teller. They already got Braden Smith. So the need isn't to immediately insert Proctor into the starting lineup. Could you draft him and maybe have him waiting in the wings, right? Like, be that backup left guard, left tackle if needed, and let him develop, let him turn into a great offensive lineman that the Texans could then utilize down the road, right? Wyatt Teller, Braden Smith, they're great signings, but they're really kind of 2-year rentals, right? More of like veteran guys, older guys that the Texans signed in free agency as a win-now move. The Texans are trying to win now, but a Kadyn Proctor selection in round 1 would be setting yourself up in the future to have a good offensive line base. And I think the Texans, they need to start doing that more in, having good depth and having guys that can eventually start along the offensive line. Because if one of these guys gets injured, if something happens along the offensive line, you're kind of, up a creek without a paddle, if you know what I mean. So if you're able to draft a guy who is a really good player, but just needs a little bit of refinement, needs a little bit of development, like a Kadyn Proctor in round 1, I think that'll allow the Texans to, be able to, groom Kadyn Proctor, let him develop into a good offensive lineman, and then 1-2 years down the road, the Texans can allow him to be the starting left guard. Maybe they move him to right tackle. Wherever they want to implement Kadyn Proctor, I think he's a good offensive lineman, but as Brugler said, maybe needs a year to refine his skills. Now, where the Texans' offensive line sits right now, I showed you the depth chart a moment ago. What's your confidence level in the Texans' O-line? Like, if they didn't add anybody in the draft, if it was just as it is right now, Ariante Ursery, Wyatt Teller, Jake Andrews, Ed Ingram, Braden Smith. Confidence level 1, you have nothing no confidence at all. 100, you think they're the best O-line in the NFL? Let me know down in the comments section. What is your confidence level in the Texans O-line as it stands right now? All right, next up for Texans first-round targets highlighted in Dane Brugler's The Beast, Zion Young. And this is one of the more recent top 30 visits. Reminder, I am filming this on April 8th, Wednesday, on our Texans Today live show. Zion Young was just announced as a top 30 visit for the Houston Texans. He is ranked as the defensive end number 8 on Brugler's big board, and I think is a prospect that a lot of Texans fans, they probably won't like the idea of whenever we first talk about it, right? Because it is a defensive end, and when you think about the Texans, probably one of the lowest needs on this roster right now is defensive end. You just paid Danielle Hunter. Hopefully, very soon, you give Will Anderson Jr. an insane extension. So, why do we need Zion Young? Well, first, before I talk about that, let's look at what Dane Brugler had to say about the Missouri defensive end. Young is a tad rigid as a pass rusher and doesn't have ideal concerning speed, but he is long, strong, and determined with hand usage to force his way through blockers. As a run defender, his play recognition and full extension physicality blossomed as a senior. Overall, Young doesn't have the pass rush quickness or diversity that will score NFL offensive tackles, but he sets a firm edge in the run game, and he uses his NFL caliber measurables and heavy hands to open pathways to the pocket. He has the floor of a quality backup and the ceiling of a starting base end for a physical NFL front. And, kind of what I said about Proctor, Brugler is saying, Zion Young at his floor, worst case scenario, is a really good rotation defensive end. And if you're talking about the floor, for that being the floor for Zion Young, I think the Texans need that right now, right? Like, they don't have a third defensive end on this depth chart that really strikes fear into opposing NFL offenses. And possibly Zion Young could be that for this Texans squad. They can draft him, and similar to Proctor, they don't have to immediately throw him into the fire. He can be somebody that learns with this Texans coaching staff, learns under DeMeco Ryans, under Matt Burke, under a Will Anderson, a Danielle Hunter, to eventually be a starting defensive end in this league. But as a rotational pass rusher, the Texans can take him and be really good, be really set in terms of getting after the quarterback this season. And I know a lot of Texans fans hate the idea of going edge rusher in round 1. I get it. It makes sense, right? But if he is BPA, if he's the best player available at 28, they might go that route. And, the Texans, I know a lot of people are saying, oh, well, if he's the best player, why don't they just trade back? It's a possibility, but it takes 2 to tango. You'll need a team to want to trade up to 28 to, go get maybe a Ty Simpson, maybe another player to be able to trade back. Maybe that happens, maybe it doesn't. But if not, I would be okay if the Texans took an edge rusher at 28 because, Will Anderson Jr., Danielle Hunter, there's no doubt. They are 2 of the best pass rushers in the NFL and undoubtedly make up the best pass rush duo in the NFL. A combined 27 sacks in 2025, 35 tackles for loss, 6 forced fumbles, 6 PBUs. They were unstoppable this past season. But also, you had Derek Barnett. You had a couple other guys that were really able to kind of give them breathers and make sure they were as fresh as possible to rush the passer and get after the quarterback. And whenever I think about it, whenever you think about good defensive lines, a lot of them, they're stacked with 3, 4 good defensive ends. And you think, it's already it's already a strength of ours. Do we need to make it an even bigger strength? I mean, you could, and you've seen that strategy used in the past with a lot of dominant pass rushes that ended up winning Super Bowls. I mean, look at these dominant Super Bowl pass rushes that have really, I think, taken over Super Bowl games with that pass rush, being able to have 3, 4 defensive ends that can get sacks, right? Obviously, the top defenses you think of, the 85 Bears, the 2000 Baltimore Ravens. But think back, the 07 and 2011 New York Giants. They had, Strahan, O.C. Umenyiora. They had JPP. They had a lot of incredible pass rushers on that defensive line. The 2015 Denver Broncos, right? They had DeMarcus Ware. They had Von Miller. I believe they also had Elvis Dumervil on that defensive line. The 2025 Philadelphia Eagles, just a couple years back. Think about that Super Bowl when the Eagles absolutely took it to Patrick Mahomes. He had no time, and that Kansas City offense looked putrid because the Philadelphia Eagles had pass rusher after pass rusher after pass rusher getting after Mahomes. So maybe the Texans, they're already good in terms of their starting pass rush, but if you can let Will Anderson get a breather, Danielle Hunter get a breather, and still get after the quarterback, that is a massive strength. So maybe going defensive end earlier on in the draft and allowing, Danielle Hunter, Will Anderson to, get a little bit of a breather, be as close to 100% and get after these tackles is a smart move by the Houston Texans. Coming up, I have one more player from the Beast that has a first-round grade that the Texans have met with. I'll tell you who that player is here in just a moment. But before we do, speaking of Will Anderson and defensive ends, this is our brand new Will Anderson Jr. Terminator t-shirt, and it's available right now on our shop, chatsports.com/HOU shop. Reminder, the more shirts that y'all buy, the more merch that y'all buy, the more shirts that I'm able to create. And I know a lot of y'all really like this H-Town Will Anderson shirt. Get it today. Right here. I'll put that link down in the comment section and description of today's show. Not only this shirt, you can also get our Swarm Patrol t-shirt. This is our Comfort Colors t-shirt. A lot of people like that. You can get it in black. You can get it in navy. And we have a brand new show logo here at Texans Today. You can get that in black, navy, or that H-Town blue. All of that available on our merchandise shop, chatsports.com/HOU shop. Go and get it today while you can. Well, you all can. But it helps me out a ton if you do, because it shows my bosses that Texans fans are here to represent. All right, here we go. The last player that had a first-round grade per Dane Brugler that the Texans have met with, it's defensive tackle Kayden McDonald. And funny enough, he is actually the top-rated defensive tackle according to Dane Brugler. So, will he make it to 28? Possibly. If he does, possibly a good pick for your Houston Texans. We've talked about McDonald a lot on the program before. This past year, 57 tackles, 3 sacks, 2 forced fumbles. Let's see what Brugler had to say on the Ohio State defensive tackle. McDonald's powerful skill set is at its best when he acts as a run defender. He resets the line of scrimmage with his initial burst and power, attacking and shucking blocks from a leverage position. He plays games of peekaboo and often wins with ball carriers willing to test A-gap run lanes, and his awareness allows him to fill up the stat sheet with the line of scrimmage stops. However, he had just 695 career snaps, 32 defensive snaps per game in 2025, and his inexperience will be more noticeable against NFL blockers. Overall, McDonald will require time to develop as a pass rush identity, but his dominant run game qualities will make him immediately useful from different interior alignments. He projects as an early down rookie with a role that should continue to expand. And kind of the theme here is guys who you're getting at 28 maybe aren't going to be immediate impact all-pro Pro Bowlers, right? Like, I think everybody thinks, first-round player, they need to be a Pro Bowler by year 2. Maybe that's Kayden McDonald. Maybe it isn't, but I think he has a lot of upside, as Brugler just pointed out, right? Like, he's somebody who you can place in the middle of that Texans D-line and really help the run stuff and really allow, the two defensive ends to kind of pin their ears back more and get after the quarterback. Kayden McDonald, I think he has a lot of untapped pass rush ability, and a lot, there's comments here and there, he doesn't fit the scheme. I don't know if he really would work in a 4-3 defense with, DeMeco Ryans, with Matt Burke. I don't really necessarily see that. I don't get that as much. I think he would be a good addition to this defense. And right now, I actually think he's the pick that makes the most sense for the Houston Texans. If, he's on the board at 28, I think he would be my number one option for the Texans to take. Right? I think he makes sense. He feels a need. You need more defensive tackle depth and, help at that position. You already have 2 starters. Tommy Togiai is fantastic. You have Sheldon Rankins as well. So you don't need Kayden McDonald to be a 3-down starter at defensive tackle. He's a first-round talent. As Brugler said, he's his top-rated defensive tackle in this draft class, and he brings that swarm mentality. You can see it in his tape. You can see it whenever you watch his film, that he brings a tenacity when he's on the field. Maybe it's because he only plays 32 snaps a game, but that's fine. The Texans, they like to rotate their defensive linemen, their defensive tackles out anyway. So if you're able to have Sheldon Rankins, have Tommy Togai, and then switch out Kayden McDonald, I think that'll be a good kind of trio at defensive tackle for this Texans team going into this next season. All right, that's all I have for you on this video. If you have any questions, which I should have told you before this, I actually changed my IG. They're all Jeremy Chuggs now. You can follow me on social media all over at Jeremy Chuggs. On X at Jeremy Chuggs, IG, I actually changed that also to Jeremy Chuggs, and then on TikTok at Jeremy Chuggs. Give me a follow. Hit me up in my DMs if you have any questions, concerns, or you just want to chop it up around the Texans NFL draft. Yeah, I changed the IG. I was like, you know what? I think I just got to go Jeremy Chuggs for all of them. For all of them.
More SEO value in Jeremy Chuggs.
Yeah. You would probably.
Yeah.
All right, so what did we think about that segment? Did you like the new Dane Brugler beast talk around some of the Texans' top draft targets? Have you checked out the beast?
I have not read the beast yet. I have not read it. I'm going to do some homework on some of my LSU guys. Read up on some Caleb Downs because we talked a lot about him on Saints.
Mm-hmm.
So
I don't think Caleb Downs is going to be there for the Houston Texans, but
make a trade. We'll trade you the number 8 pick for Will Anderson.
No deal. This is interesting. Harrison just sent me this. This from Jordan Schultz. The expectation among many NFL teams is that the 2026 draft will be one of the more trade-heavy drafts in recent memory, according to multiple league sources, specifically on the defensive side of the football. Edge, corner, and linebacker are all super strong and deep, while wide receiver is typically considered to be the most talented offensive position. Several executives I've spoken with believe we're likely to see a flurry of activity in the first half of round 1. Interesting. Additionally, because of this specific draft lacks depth in the later rounds, many teams plan to pursue extra day 2 and early day 3 picks per league sources.
Dude, Will Anderson might be a Saint now. Is what you just told me.
No. That is interesting because you know who likes to trade more than anybody else? Howie Roseman. Howie Roseman does with the Eagles. But the second person who likes to trade more than anybody else is Nick Caserio of the Houston Texans. So, if there's trades...
Would you rather see them trade up or down? Is there a guy that you have your eye on that you're like, I would trade up for that guy?
That's tough. I mean, before we signed Wyatt Teller, Vega Ione out of Penn State, our one of our guys here he's a former offensive lineman, played O-line in D2 college. He does some O-line evaluations. He said Vega Ione is the best offensive lineman in this draft class. I would still be okay trading up for him. If he's there at 21, 22, 20, now maybe Kenyon Sadiq, tight end from Oregon.
Would that be like the sexy pick that the Texans go for?
Yeah, like maybe something like that. Possibly. I don't see them trading up because I think the defensive tackles might fall to them. I don't think they'll have to trade up for a Kayden McDonald's or a Peter Woods. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's tough.
Gets the brain thinking.
Yeah. I don't know. Oh, y'all might be hearing me bounce. Well, you can't see it.
I'm about to say, I also have a really rickety chair back here, too.
Yeah. It's a green ball.
Yep, there it is again.
That I bounced. People are saying that you're farting back there.
Yeah, I'm just
Is that true?
I'm just ripping ass on this. No, it's a very rickety chair. It seems like every movement I make.
Sure it is.
Dude, if it was me,
I
would own up to it. I'd be proud if I was ripping that much ass.
Uh-huh. You know what they say about those Louisiana boys.
Is Bayou Raider still here? He knows. Bayou, are you here?
Smells like crawfish?
It smells like Tony's.
Smells like... Smells like slap your mama. Why does it smell like hush puppies in here? Oh, hey, Mr. Tommy said I got the Swarm t-shirt before the cruise. Hell yeah, wear it proudly. Wear it proudly. Let's go. Yoda says, don't smell the finger.
Never smell the finger.
That's something. We do have a couple more super chats. We'll go ahead and get those in our mailbag. That's going to be our next segment. Get the hashtag Texans in. You can super chat. We'll go ahead and hit the super chats first on the mailbag. Ugh. And then I'll let producer Lopez pick between the other questions that use hashtag Texans. So if you want to get on the program, you can still hashtag Texans. Or if you want to make sure you get on, like VW Blue Sky, Condition Based, an absolute legend, and my guy Jonathan Hyatt, you can super chat to go ahead and get on the program. Last segment of the day, our mailbag segment here on Texans Today. Mr. Tommy says, I hope I get the Swarm shirt before our cruise. I hope you do too. It'll be a nice shirt to wear out on the cruise.
Be a conversation starter.
My mom and stepdad, big cruisers. They love going on. They go on like four or five cruises a year.
Damn.
They also live right next to Galveston, and they just.
I'm horrible at geography. That means nothing to me.
You know where Galveston is?
No. I just
South of
know.
Houston.
I know they got dirty ass water.
Hey.
That's what I've heard.
No. You haven't been to Jamaica Beach. If you go out further, the water's better. You're one of these shit talkers about Galveston. I will not take that slander.
Just Harry agrees with me. He said Galveston indeed has dirty ass water.
I worked on Galveston Island for 4 years in high school selling snow cones. It gets a bad rep, okay? F you and Charles Barkley. It gets a bad rep. All right, all the Galveston hate's coming in. Okay. Well, y'all don't have to go. You know what? You don't even have to go there if you don't want to.
I didn't plan on it. I didn't plan on going to San Antonio with them big ass women.
Yoda says, how do you word it? Are you saying it's dirty ass water or dirty ass water?
It's Galveston. It's the same thing.
Dude.
We're
y'all
splitting
tripping.
hairs here.
Y'all are tripping. Galveston has some charm to it. Y'all just can't see it. Bro, Aiden is
good.
wild for that.
That one's good.
Aiden, you're wild for that one, man. Hey, y'all don't have to go. You know what? Y'all don't have to go.
Been planning on it.
Galveston has some good seafood, though.
It's not on my bucket list.
Galveston has some good seafood. I don't get how this just turned into a Galveston hate session.
I think you brought up something about Galveston, and then you asked me if I knew anything about it, and I said, no, they have dirty ass water. And then that's how it started.
Well, I said because my mom cruises out of Galveston.
Oh, yeah, that's
it's right there. It's right there. VW Blue Sky says, I'm going to have to get that Badass 51 shirt. Hell yeah. If you want to get it, I'll put the link in the chat for you, VW. And we can go to that super chat right before we talk about it on the mailbag.
Perfect. VW Blue Sky, you're going to be in the mailbag twice. Congratulations.
Just Harry, San Antonio is chill. I don't care what Charles Barkley hate. See, exactly. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm trying to say about Galveston.
San Antonio might be chill, but what about the San Antonio women? No question or no answers? You plead the fifth?
I don't know enough about Galveston women or San Antonio women to say anything about that. So I don't know. All right. Just Harry says pretty mid, not going to lie. All right, this is getting off the tracks. Let's talk about Texans stuff again. Let's get into our Texans mailbag. Hashtag Texans or super chat to get on the show. Yeah, let's change the subject. All right. We're getting into our Texans Today mailbag. Reminder, you can hashtag Texans or super chat to get on the show. And we're going to go ahead and get started with our Texans Today mailbag here on our live show. Sam, what's up? Oh my God. Oh my God. Okay. We just had somebody walk in and they, of course, Sam is just, he's just another sheeple. He's just another sheep peddling these bad Galveston rumors. Let's get to the mailbag. Let's get to our mailbag. How about that? Bet. Appreciate you, Sam. All right. Now let's get into our Texans Today mailbag. Welcome to another award-winning segment here on Texans Today. What award? My mom. She gave it to me because it's her favorite segment. Our mailbag portion of our live show. And a reminder before y'all watch this episode, this was filmed on our live show April 8th, 2026. If you are watching this live, all you have to do, hashtag Texans or Super Chat to get on the program. And all the questions are from our loyal subscribers who tuned in to our live show. If you want to get on our live show, make sure you hit that sub button, hit the notification bell, and tune in to our live shows every Wednesday. We don't live at 4 o'clock, but we usually go live at 3:30 Central Time every Wednesday. But that's why you hit the notification bell to make sure you know when we go live. First one up is from Jonathan Hyatt. Your honest opinion, with new O-line this year, do you see CJ as our future franchise quarterback? Or do you think the last 2 seasons is the real Stroud? I talked about this a little bit on the show, and I think that, CJ gets a lot of the bad rep, mostly because of his playoff stats. Mostly because he hasn't performed when the lights are at its brightest. When you look at his career stats, obviously his rookie season, fantastic. Took a step back in 2024. 2025, his numbers weren't horrible, right? In 14 games played, he did miss 4 games from a concussion. He barely played in that Broncos game. But, in those 13 games he played, 64.5 completion percentage, 3,000 yards, 19 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, 23 sacks. So he was definitely on track to have a pretty good season. And if he, played better in that Patriots game and the Texans still lost, I think the whole narrative around him is completely different. But because he struggled a little bit in the Steelers win, and then he ended up throwing those 4 interceptions in the first half of the Patriots loss, we all see CJ Stroud in a completely different light. I still believe in CJ, and I think he does as well. The Texans accepted their the 5th-year option on his rookie contract. So basically, this is a prove-it year. CJ Stroud, in essence, this season is playing for $60 million. So if that doesn't motivate him, I don't know what will. So hopefully we see the most motivated, the best version of CJ Stroud that we have seen yet. Thanks for the question, Jonathan. Next up, condition-based. Hashtag Texans. Been a long time since I caught a live. I'm hearing rumors of the Texans would consider trading up for Keionte Scott. Would you do it? If so, what would you give up? This is a great question, condition-based, and I have seen those rumors as well. There's an ESPN article talking about the Texans possibly trading up with I believe it was like the Carolina Panthers there at 19 or 20 to go up and get Keionte Scott. I would consider, right? Like the Texans, they want to add more weapons. They want to make this offense more lethal, and that was the problem last year, right? The defense was number 1 in the NFL. The offense really couldn't keep up. And maybe a guy like Keionte Scott who runs a 4.3 40-yard dash at that tight end spot is somebody to bring in an extra element to this offense. Now, what would I give up to go up and get him? I don't think I would give up, any of our future draft capital in 2027. I wouldn't give up a first or second in that draft. But possibly, packaging 28 with maybe 38. If you could package those 2 picks, our early second-round pick and 28 to move up and get him, or if a team will accept it, 28 and 59, like a first and one of our seconds, I'd be okay with trading that to go up and get Keionte Scott. I think that would make sense for the Texans to go up and make a move like that if they wanted to get another playmaker, another weapon on this offense like a Keionte Scott. Anything more than that, I think it's a little rich for my blood, but I'm going to ask y'all. Obviously, condition-based is a fan of Keionte Scott. What about y'all? Are there any players that you would trade up for in this draft? Let me know down below in the comment section. Would you want to trade up for any of the players in this draft? Go down in the comment section and let me know. Keionte Scott, possibly. I've been really big on Vega Ione, even though the Texans went ahead and signed Wyatt Teller to play left guard. I think I'd be okay with going up and getting Vega Ione. I think he might be the best lineman in this draft, but let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Next up, VW Blue Sky. I think so far we have done a good job taking care of running back and the O-line. Can't wait for the draft and see what else we do. Same. I think the Texans, they have done a good job. They took care of the running back position, and when you look at what the Texans did, kind of similar to what they did with Joe Mixon, right? They wanted to get Saquon Barkley. The price was way too high. The Eagles ended up signing Saquon for a massive deal. I guess it worked out for Philadelphia because they won a Super Bowl. But Joe Mixon, before the injury, was great for this Texans squad. And they did a very similar thing this offseason, right? They were rumored to be in on Kenneth Walker. He ends up signing with the Chiefs for a massive contract. Instead of that, the Texans, they trade one of their fourth-round picks. They go out and get David Montgomery at a much cheaper deal to allow them to go out and sign a Braden Smith, sign a Wyatt Teller in free agency. I don't know if you signed both those guys if you also went out and spent $14 million a year on Kenneth Walker. So I do agree with you, VW Blue Sky, that the Texans did in fact do a good job in this year's NFL draft. And VW Blue Sky also sent in this badass 51 shirt. Gonna have to go get it. Well, I agree, VW Blue Sky. It is absolutely badass. If you want to get a shirt just like VW Blue Sky, this is the one he's talking about, the Will Anderson Jr. Terminator shirt. You can get it today at chatsports.com/HOU shop. The more shirts that y'all buy, the more shirts that I'm able to make and sell here at Chat Sports. I have some cool ideas. I know a lot of y'all have sent me some cool ideas for some possible Chat Sports merch here for Texans Today. I want to make those ideas a possibility. The way I do that is I show my bosses, Texans fans want more merch. They buy our merch, and they are here to represent. So if you want this one, or if you want our Swarm Patrol t-shirt, this one's also super dope in the comfort colors. You can get that. And we have a brand new show logo t-shirt as well. Bam, this one right here. All of them available on our merchandise website. I'm going to put that link down in the comments and description of today's show. It's chatsports.com/HOU shop. All right, next one. Texans Takeover. What up, Mr. Chuggs? What up, Mr. Texans Takeover? Who's your draft hopeful? Who I'm hoping for in the NFL draft? That's a tough one because, this draft, I think it lacks that top firepower. The hopeful if in a perfect world, if he fell somehow, I don't think this guy falls past the Cowboys at 12, but if he were to somehow fall in the draft, Sonny Styles from Ohio State, the inside linebacker, would be insane on this Texans defense. I would love the idea of going out and getting a Sonny Styles. I think he is, a freak athlete, and to see DeMeco Ryans, who's a former linebacker, to see what he would be able to do with a guy like a like a Sonny Styles. I mean, I feel like the sky would be the limit. I think he would be maybe one of the best linebackers in NFL history if you paired up DeMeco Ryans with a guy like Sonny Styles. But, like you said, that's being hopeful. I don't think he falls past probably even top 10 in this NFL draft. Next up, the NFL power couple. #Texans. What do you think about bringing back Jadeveon Clowney? Well, there has been some discussions about bringing Clowney in. I think there has been that picture is insane. And I mean, I think it could make some sense, right? Because the Texans, they're still looking for a third defensive end. They signed D-Rob, former Chicago Bear, but he kind of projects more of like a fourth or fifth defensive end on this roster. You signed Logan Hall, who's kind of a tweener. He played defensive tackle, played defensive end as well. He can play a lot. I think of Logan Hall as like the Denico Autry replacement. He can play inside and outside. But Jadeveon Clowney, kind of an interesting name, right? As a, just a situational pass rusher, can come in, give Danielle Hunter, give Will Anderson Jr. some breathers here and there. I would entertain it. I wouldn't want to go ahead and sign him to a massive deal or anything like that, but I think that's a fun idea if you wanted to go out and get a guy like Jadeveon Clowney, bring him back to the Houston Texans. Obviously, Jadeveon Clowney, a former first-round pick for the Houston Texans. And producer Lopez, right at it on the ones and twos. I want to know from y'all. I gave you my thoughts on him. What about you? Would you want the Texans to re-sign Jadeveon Clowney, bring him back to H-Town? Let me know. Give me a yes, give me a no down below in the comments section. You make the call. Would you want the Texans to re-sign Jadeveon Clowney? Cheap one-year deal? Sure. Like, I'm not saying, like, I would go out and break the bank or I would make him a priority to bring in. But, wasn't bad this past year. I believe he played for the Cowboys this past season. Was okay, as a backup. I think you could definitely do worse. So I'm okay with it. Let me know what y'all think, though, down below in the comments section. Andrew Robles checking in. Which defensive tackle in the draft do you think would be a great fit for this team? I've watched some film on Peter Woods, and I like Miller, Orange, and McDonald way more. I think for Peter Woods, he definitely had a down 2025 season. If you want to see like the upside on Peter Woods, you got to watch more of his 2024 film with Clemson. I agree, though. McDonald, I think he's a really good fit for the Texans at 28. Out of these names, though, my favorite player at a certain pick, for me at least, Christen Miller at pick 38. If the Texans can pick somebody else at 28, and then Christen Miller from Georgia falls to the Texans at 38, that would be my favorite, player at a certain pick value. I think he is a little bit raw coming, but he did play in the SEC, played for Georgia, and obviously already has a connection with multiple Texans, right? He has a connection with Kamari Lassiter, talked about that connection at the NFL Combine. That's where I would go personally. If I could pick a certain player at a pick, I would go with Christen Miller at pick 38. I love the idea of getting him in the second round. Next up, Anointed Stan checking in. How we doing? Hashtag Texans. What are your expectations for Nick Caserio and our offense? Do you expect a top 15 unit or a bit higher or lower? I mean, that's the hope, right? Like, you had a number one defense this past year. The offense wasn't able to keep up. So you got to make changes. You made a lot of wholesale changes. You totally revamped the offensive line. You might only have one start, depending on what happens with Jake Andrews. You might only have two starters from last year. Ariante Ursery at left tackle, Ed Ingram at right guard. You have a new left guard in Wyatt Teller. You have a new right tackle in Braden Smith. You also got a new running back in David Montgomery to pair with Woody Marks. I think the Texans, that's the floor, right? The floor would be to have the 15th best offense in the NFL. That's the floor. So I would say, for Nick Casey's sake, I don't want to sound, threatening or rude, but, it better be. Like, if we're bringing you in with these expectations, Texans better have a top 15 offense, or else you can just chunk this next year down the drain because, this team is in win now mode. You have a top defense in the NFL. Many believe the Texans defense would be able to even take them to a Super Bowl last year despite the offense. So you don't want to be talking about your unit and saying despite them, right? You want to say in addition to this offense. So the expectation should be to have a top 15 unit in 2026. Indy 500 champ. Hashtag Texans thought on the trade from the Patriots. He's talking about Marte Mapu, the Patriots player who the Texans, I believe we have a player bio on him. Yeah, here we go. It was a late round pick swap in 2027. The Texans were able to get the linebacker safety hybrid. And the funny part about this is the Texans actually had a top 30 visit with Mapu whenever he was drafted in 2023 out of Sacramento State. And I think maybe a little underutilized with the Patriots. His first 2 years in New England, he was played at the safety spot, made the transition to linebacker this past year, and funny enough, actually had a couple big plays. When you go back and watch the Texans and Patriots play from, I believe it was from last year, Marte Mapu had a big play that really, caused an interception from CJ Stroud. And I think he's a good coverage linebacker, and DeMeco Ryans, he's a linebacker savant. We talked about Azeez Al-Shire earlier in the offseason about, possibly extending him, and Azeez Al-Shire said, the reason why he's a top linebacker in the NFL is because of DeMeco Ryans. When you look at possibly the two top linebackers in the NFL, or two of the top linebackers, Azeez Al-Shire, Fred Warner, who trained both those guys, who basically was able to get those guys to where they are right now? DeMeco Ryans. So if anybody's going to be able to get the most out of a linebacker, it's probably going to be DeMeco. So let me know, what was your reaction to the trade for Mapu? Did you not care? Did you think it was a nothing trade, or do you think he could possibly be a good player for this Texans squad? Let me know down below in the comments section, because that's all I have for you on today's mailbag. You didn't make it on? All good. Make sure you tune into our next live show here at Texans Today. The way you do that is you make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on your notifications for the latest Texans news and rumors all year long. All right, so obviously it's Masters Week, so I thought we could end the show with a little bit of fun. Maybe, Lopez, we can give our Masters order. If you don't already know, like I said, the Masters are this week, and pretty famously, they are known for having a very cheap menu. And can you read that on screen? Maybe we make it
try and make it bigger.
Yeah, we can make it full screen for y'all folks at home. $10 at the Masters. I want to know, what are you ordering off this menu? Okay, yeah, that might be a little bit better. You could probably still have me on screen with it. I can just move over a little bit.
There we go.
There we go. Right here. Build your Masters order down below in the comments section. You get $10. They have some pretty good deals, right? Like, they have the chicken biscuit for $3. They have that ice cream sandwich looks good.
Dude, that looks gas. I see it every year.
The drinks, the Crow's Nest is like, I believe that's like their beer.
Yeah, it's a beer.
It's a beer that they make there. Let me know, though, a little bit of fun. I want to hear from you. $10. You have $10 in your pocket. What are you getting to eat / drink at the Masters?
See, like,
give me your thought process.
Like, 99% of the time, I'm thinking, okay, I need a beer. The beer is $6. I don't think I can fit that into the budget. I'm thinking it's gonna be a full day thing. So give me the chicken biscuit for $3 for breakfast.
Okay.
Gonna walk around, enjoy some morning golf, and then gotta get the barbecue pork sandwich. So that's $6 right there. Mm-hmm. And then I need that ice cream sandwich. And then what's not on here is the best drink that they offer at the Masters, and it's the Azalea.
I don't know what that is.
It's vodka, lemonade, and like grenadine. And it's like a pink color to like match the azaleas. It's the best drink at the Masters. I don't know why it's not on here. So I'm going to assume that that's free, and I still have $1 left over.
Okay. Very, very smart very frugal with your money. Very frugal. If I'm going, I think, do I go breakfast sando or chicken biscuit? They're both $3.
Yeah.
So I think you kind of got to go chicken biscuit. See, it's a little hard for me. Actually, you know what? I have it right here.
I can make it bigger.
No, you're good. You're good. I have it actually. I don't know why I'm trying to look at that. I have it right here. All right. So I got to go with the chicken biscuit.
We can go section by section.
I mean, we can if you want to.
Up to you. You make the call.
Do it. All right.
We're going to go section by section.
Here's the top. Can we go middle first?
Oh, you want to go middle? Okay.
Yeah, because I got to get my breakfast.
Oh, true.
So the breakfast items, chicken biscuit. See the blueberry muffin.
A muffin's a muffin. I feel like you can get that
anywhere. You got to go chicken biscuit.
Yeah, you got to go one of the sandwiches. Whatever one you go with, that's more up to you.
I'm going chicken biscuit. And then, you know what? I'm actually going to surprise some people. I've been kind of on a chicken salad kick.
Really?
So I think I go double chicken. I go chicken biscuit, chicken. Actually, you know what? I'm changing it up. I'm going breakfast sando, and then I'm going the chicken salad. Breakfast sando, chicken salad.
Get all your proteins.
That's $6 right there.
Then we can work our way down.
And then we can go to the bottom. And then I think I'm spending all my 10. I think I'm going Georgia pecan caramel popcorn, and then an iced tea.
Okay.
And then I'm filling up my iced tea with some tap water.
There you go.
Just throughout the day. I think that's the way I'm spending my $10. I'm going breakfast sando, chicken salad, caramel popcorn, iced tea.
It's not a bad order.
But just here, you said caramel popcorn's mid. This is Georgia pecan caramel.
Yeah,
popcorn.
this is different.
Caramel pecans actually does sound a little bit more enticing.
Yeah. Like, that's what makes the ice cream sandwich also sound very enticing.
Let's see.
Georgia peach ice cream.
Let's see what the people are saying. We've got, let's see. VW Blue Sky says, I'm starving at the moment. It looks pretty good. Anointed Stan says, give me the barbecue sando, the chicken biscuit, the chips, and the soda. VW Blue Sky says, pork sando, snack popcorn, and Crow's beer. Okay. Said, hey, I'm getting the beer.
I'm not mad at the beer pick, but for it being $6 on this menu, it's absurd.
Just Harry says, I'm going with the chicken salad sando, chicken biscuit. He went double chicken. And then said either soda or water. Let me know what you would get down below.
Condition does bring up a good point.
That is a good point. I wouldn't do the mayo walking in the sun for 4 to 6 hours. I mean, but you could say the same thing about the fried chicken, right? Like, you're like, oh, you're eating fried chicken and then walking for 5 hours.
True. How hot does it get out there in April? Like, early April?
I can actually see on my phone.
It's not going to be over 85. Yoda Jenkins, give me 24 cookies, please.
Hell yeah. Condition Base just bought a t-shirt as well.
Hey. Shout out Conditioned.
Oh, that's what I was doing. I was like, do you ever like go on your phone and then totally forget? Let's see. It's in Augusta, Georgia. Oh, dude, it's actually beautiful tomorrow and Friday. It's high of 71, high of 75, low of 45, and low of 48. And I'm guessing that's like more like in the early morning, late at night.
Yeah.
So in the 60s, 70s, sunny.
Dude, I'm going to have to change my pants just thinking about that.
Oh my, dude, that sounds like you couldn't get better weather.
That's one of those days where we would go to the bosses and be like, hey, can we work outside today?
Right now, actually, I just looked at the weather outside our studios, 77 and sunny.
Not a bad day.
Not too shabby. Let's see. I would do Condition Bases, breakfast sando, barbecue sando, chips, and a beer or two. He says, F it, I'm going over.
He just went over the budget. He was like, fuck it.
I'm stealing it.
I make the rules now.
Well, Condition Base did send in a 20, so he gets...
He does make the rules.
He gets a little bit more. He has it. Maybe he's working with $15. Yoda says I'm getting 24 cookies.
No, Yoda, you can get 24 cookies.
Yoda says I'm getting all the cookies. Just cookies on cookies.
Yeah.
I've actually heard, and I would be very interested to see about the ice cream sando. I've heard mixed reviews. I've heard some people say it's really good. Some people say not.
I think it all depends on if you like peach. I think peach is one of those fruits some people like, some people don't.
Peaches. Yeah. I could see that. All right, well, just wanted to end it on a little fun note here, talking about the Masters. Just Harry says 2 chicken biscuits and a chicken salad sando might be the move. I don't know.
I'm not mad at it.
I don't know.
I also think it's really hard to have like a bad order off this menu. I don't think there's any route where I'm like, you know what? I don't see the vision.
4 fruits.
Can I just get 4 fruit cups, please?
4 fruit cups.
Maybe there.
That's bad.
4 fruit cups and a muffin.
3 fruit cups and a muffin. All right, that's all I have for you on today's show, folks. Thank you all for clicking into our live show. I'll be giving y'all more videos. And reminder, if you're a Rockets fan, I'm going live on our Rockets channel on Friday. Rockets Timberwolves. If you want to join me, I'll put the link to our Rockets channel down below in the comments section. Make sure to go check out our new channel, subscribe, and if you are a fan of the Rockets, join me on Friday for our live show. From me, Producer Lopez, the Chat Sports crew, we appreciate y'all so much for checking in. Until next time, I hope y'all have a great day and enjoy the Masters week. Possibly get some Georgia pecan popcorn? Possibly? I don't know.
Can we get that in the office? Anybody know?
Hey, we gotta make some calls. All right. Y'all have a good day, and I'll see y'all next time and possibly on Friday on our Rockets channel.